amend the plan and go through the coastal commission every time we added one more because we built 13 more residences? No, we wouldn't. So why, I guess I'm looking at the same logic then.
So
Until
maybe
a court tells me otherwise, I don't see why we should have to go back through an entire coastal commission process when the language is very clear. They shall be corrected as mapping errors. Not, it shall be, you should correct those and send them to us for our blessing. It says you shall correct them.
Right, there's correcting them and then there's setting the cap. But you could have different views of it. The language in the town plan, though, does refer to the 13-to-1 ratio.
And by the way, that's Supervisor Delbar for the record. Just
yeah. Anyway, it's the language in the town plan does talk about the 13-to-1 ratio adding on top of the cap. So what's the language in the town plan, though, is it sets the cap. And it really doesn't talk about changing the cap. It talks about the mapping errors, but it doesn't necessarily connect that with changing the cap. And it may simply be language that's not clear or...
But that's illogical, isn't it? It's Mike again on the record.
Yeah. There is
It's-
a certain amount of lack of clarity here.
It's completely illogical to say that you have a cap of 46, and by the way, if you find mapping errors, you shall correct them, but you can't go over that 46. That doesn't make any sense.
I'm not going to argue that it does.
Okay. To me, I'd rather, to me, I guess I read it, and I it's open to interpretation, but that's how I read it, and I would rather go with the 53, because that, to me, or whatever that number is between above and 46, recognizing the recognized mapping errors that we've corrected and improved. And if that number takes us to 53, then that's where it is.
And you could change the recommendation to say that.
Supervisor Colfax.
This was discussed in a meeting with staff here on Friday, I think, to county council. Wasn't that taken as kind of a given that we have the approved plan that has some standing, which sets it at 46, and the mapping errors are essentially noise in the system? I don't think you used that term, but that we would be in fact held to the 46. And the ratio kicking in, but kicking in only to that level, because the mapping errors, the correction, which is in the document, of course, that these would be inconsistent with the cap that is set very clearly. I thought we came out of that meeting with an understanding, at least at the staff level and planning as well, that this was a hard and fast number. The 46 was one of the few hard numbers in this whole mess. And Supervisor Delbar looking for reasonableness or logic or accuracy in this document. That takes a lot of faith. So or hope. But this is Colfax speaking, so for the record. But I'd appreciate a comment on that.
That's what we got out of that's what I got out of the meeting, that the 46 number is the number that's referenced in the plan, and that's the number that we work off of.
But yet that acknowledges the mapping areas. I don't understand that.
Well, I guess I'm a little, and I'll look at staff on this one. I understood mapping errors to apply to the visitor serving units, not the residential homes. So am I incorrect on that?
this is Jessica Stellato. That was one of the gray areas of vague language, and where the term visitor serving facility was used both specifically meaning inns, bed and breakfasts, and the Mendocino Arts Center, as well as generally. So I couldn't quite tell, and that was in my
So that's the
1021
confusing part.
report.
Yeah.
If I could add, this is Frank Lynch, Planning Building Services. I think this whole exercise has revealed that there's a lack of clarity and continuity in defining terms, and I think that's what we're trying to do. And by going to the 46, which is a solid number set in an approved document, that's why I think that is the preferred number to start with. From there, we can go through whatever gyrations we need to come up with, but the number we're trying to establish is, the clean number is 46.
Supervisor Colfax.
for the moment.
Supervisor Dilmore.
Well, thank you. Well, in response to that, though, I can understand the expediency of it because it's easy and we can punt and don't worry about it. And that might be acceptable if it's not going to penalize those folks that we have approved above and beyond the 46 as mapping errors. If we cap it at 46, to me, we're penalizing those that we said, okay, we recognize the mapping error. It should have been in there. It didn't get in there. If it was, it would have been a higher number. But now, just kidding, you don't have your permit. And if that's the case, then I've got a real problem with that, besides opening us up to extreme liability.
Yeah. This is Allison. You're equating that 53 or even the 46 to the same VHRs and SURs, if I can use those abbreviations, that were in existence in 1992. This is 18 years later, or 16 years later, whatever it is, and there's not a direct correspondence. What the numbers we have at this point, again, subject to verification, say that there are fewer than 46 vacation home rentals and single unit rentals in existence right now. So nobody's going to be penalized because